Welcome to the Auditor State Uniform Accounting Network screencast for creating interfund transfers in UAN. In this screencast, we'll cover how to create interfund transfers. Interfund transfers are permanent reallocations of monies between accounts which will not be repaid. Transfers are almost always made from a less restricted fund to a more restricted fund. For example, you could transfer money from your general fund to your fire safety fund, but not from your fire safety fund to your general fund. Exceptions to this rule: if you have an unexpended balance of a special revenue fund or a bond fund and all its obligations have been met, you can transfer that money to a bond retirement fund or the general fund. If you're unsure if a transfer of cash from a more restricted fund to a less restricted fund is legal, you could research Ohio Revised Code or contact local government services at 800-345-2519. UAN cannot advise on the legality of cash transfers. Note that to transfer cash from one fund to another, there must be a statutory authority to use the money in the fund advancing the cash for the same purpose for which the fund is receiving the cash. Please be aware of your legal level of control before entering or revising your budget balances. Consult with your governing board if you need to determine your legal level of control. Transfers always occur through transfer out appropriation accounts and transfer in revenue accounts. Any transfer cannot reduce a fund to below $0. Interfund transfers always occur in the current processing year. For additional rules about interfund transfers, see the UAN Accounting Manual. To navigate to the post-interfund transfer form, select the Accounting module, the Transactions menu option, and then the Interfund Transfer option. A blank post-interfund transfer form will open to the right. The post-interfund transfer form will display 3 sections and 2 buttons: the Details section, the From section, the To section, the Post button, and the Close button. As usual, required fields are in green, optional fields are white, and read-only fields are the same color as the background. To do our interfund transfer, first we'll enter the amount of the transfer in the Amount field. This amount must be a positive number. So I'm going to enter in our transfer of $1,000. Next, select the post date of the transfer from the Post Date Calendar menu. You may select the date either by clicking on the Calendar drop-down menu and scrolling through the calendar just to choose the appropriate dates for these required fields, or you can just type the date into the field. I'm just going to select today. Next, select the approval date of the transfer from the Approval Date Calendar menu. You may select the date either by clicking on the Calendar drop-down menu. You can just scroll through again and pick today, or you could just type in the date. Also, if you want to put the resolution number of approval from your minutes, you could type that in here as well. Notice the approval date and the approval field are optional fields, but we do encourage you to fill out these fields. The more information you enter into UAN, the easier it is to track it. So I'll just enter in a random resolution as an example. Next, we'll enter the reason for the transfer in the Reason field. You're limited to 40 characters. So our hypothetical situation is we're going to transfer $1,000 from the general fund to the Road and Bridge fund. Because Road and Bridge had a cash shortage, we'll just say we're going to buy a truck and we need $1,000 from the general fund to the Road and Bridge fund. So we have that cash shortage in Road and Bridge. That should be enough in our Reason field. To enter the From information, we're going to select the fund number of the fund supporting the creditor appropriation account from the Fund drop-down menu. That's going to be our general fund. Next, we'll enter in the account. There's only going to be one appropriation account for transfers out in each fund. As you can see, UAN knows that that account is available, and you have your estimated unencumbered balance, which should be the amount of the transfer. To enter the to information, we're going to select the fund number of the fund supporting the debtor revenue account. So in this case, it's our Road and Bridge Fund. And then we'll select our revenue account. Again, there's only going to be one revenue account for transfers in for each fund. And UAN will have your estimated budget balance, which should be the amount of the transfer. We'll select that. Once we have all the fields filled out, we're going to review our work. If everything is accurate, we'll click the Post button. If you click the Close button without posting your work, UAN will prompt you with a message asking if you want to post the interfund transfer. Click Yes to post, No to close the form without posting, or Cancel to continue working. I'll click Cancel, and now I'm going to post the transfer. UAN displays a message in the lower left-hand part of the form stating how much money it has transferred from the creditor fund number to the debtor fund, and clear the form to allow you to enter more transfers. Repeat these steps as needed, beginning from selecting the transfer type. Click the Close button after posting your work to close the form. When you click Close, UAN will prompt you asking you if you want to print a transfer report. Click Yes to print the report, or No to avoid printing the report. If you click Yes, UAN will present you with your printer options for the report. Select a printer from the drop-down menu and click OK to print the report. I'm just going to say No for our screencast. In conclusion, we have some key points that you want to remember for creating interfund transfers. Interfund transfers are permanent reallocations of monies between accounts which will not be repaid. Transfers must be made from a less restricted fund to a more restricted fund. To transfer cash from one fund to another, there must be a statutory authority to use the money in the fund advancing the cash for the same purpose for which the fund is receiving the cash. While the approval field of the post-interfund transfer form is optional, we strongly encourage you to put the transfer authorization information into that field. Please be aware of your legal level of control before entering or revising your budget balances. Consult with your governing board if you need to determine your legal level of control. Thank you for using this screencast on the maintenance of interfund transfers in UAN. For further information, you may contact the UAN support line at 800-833-8261 or by email at uan_support@auditor.state.oh.us.